our panel on the humanitarian face of Israel. And we're on if I can have your attention, we're on a very, very tight schedule. We have the rally coming up at 6 o'clock. This program is very important, but it's also limited to 1 hour in time. So I would like everybody, if they can now, to be seated, to have the panel to have your attention, and if we can also ask those who've gone out for a quick cup of coffee to come back in. Thank you very much. Thank you. Fellow friends of Israel, I'm Dan Mariaschin. I'm the Executive Vice President of B'nai B'rith International. I have the honor of welcoming you to this panel on the humanitarian face of Israel. There is a tendency to believe that Israel is only a recipient of assistance and not a provider. Indeed, this assessment is far from the situation at present. Israel has become a very important and a very welcome face in responding to humanitarian needs, humanitarian disasters the world over. I represent B'nai B'rith, which this year is celebrating its 165th anniversary and which established its first branch in pre-state Palestine in 1888. And throughout our history, when disasters, both natural and man-made, strike in the US or around the globe, we have, like many other organizations, raised funds and provided appropriate and ongoing help to those affected. One of our most important strategic partnerships in recent years has been with the Israel Forum for International Humanitarian Aid, IsraAid as it's known. We're one of the founding members. 35 Israeli and Jewish organizations joined forces in 2002 and under IsraAid to respond to both man-made and natural catastrophes by providing on-the-ground Israeli non-governmental humanitarian and disaster relief everywhere. Israel created Mashav, the Center for International Cooperation. Mashav offers Israeli expertise, training, and grassroots support for sustainable development projects, especially in areas such as agriculture and medicine, to many developing countries. Through Mashav, Israel has trained hundreds of thousands of participants from over 140 countries to better their lives and better their world. In addition to development aid, when natural disasters strike around the world, Israeli doctors and emergency relief supplies can be counted on to be amongst the first in the air in response. I know of one program with which B'nai B'rith has been involved, for example, in Uruguay recently. There was a conference involving Mashav, which brought together Israeli doctors and nurses with their counterparts from 14 countries in Latin America to discuss new techniques and new treatment for cancer in children. And that's just one very important example that hasn't received very much publicity, but nevertheless puts a good name on the state of Israel and those of us who support it. Through their humanitarian efforts, Israelis have shown the world their talents and their spirit, and the talent and spirit of the Jewish people. Now, sitting here with me today are three individuals who, through their life stories, their life work, their dedication, are able to further illustrate the humanitarian face of Israel. Gal Lousky is founder and CEO of Israeli Flying Aid, a not-for-profit, non-governmental organization that provides humanitarian relief in countries all over the world. The group helps people regardless of where they live and frequently works in countries that don't have diplomatic relations with Israel. Israeli Flying Aid volunteers were on the scene in Sri Lanka after the 2004 tsunami, in Myanmar after a devastating cyclone, and in Indonesia and China after earthquakes. During the Second Lebanon War, the group aided victims of Katyusha rockets that rained down on Israel. Ms. Lousky and her colleagues were also in Louisiana after Hurricane Katrina. Dr. Sion Houri was born in Tunisia and studied medicine at Hadassah Medical School in Jerusalem. After finishing a residency in pediatrics in Israel, Dr. Houri did a fellowship in pediatric intensive care at the University of California Medical Center. After practicing in Los Angeles as an attending physician in pediatric intensive care medicine for several years, he returned to Israel in 1995 as the director of the pediatric intensive care unit at the Wolfson Medical Center. In 1995, Dr. Houri and Dr. Akiva Tamir, under the leadership of the late Dr. Ami Cohen, founded the Save a Child's Heart program. Dr. Houri left for a sabbatical in the USA in February 2006, and upon his return to Israel in September 2007, Dr. Houri resumed his position as director of the Pediatric Intensive Care Unit. Finally, Kikonjo Augustine Isdoro Tamer, who is a Sudanese refugee rescued by Israel, who will recount her experience. We have more on Kikonjo a little bit later, but in the meantime, it's my pleasure and my honor to introduce Gal Lousky.
Hi, good afternoon. My name is Gal Lousky. I was born in a kibbutz next to the Sea of Galilee. And like many other Israelis, I had a lot of reasons to hate. My only brother was severely wounded in Lebanon in '92. Myself, I was lightly wounded in the last Lebanon war in Israel. And the video is going to demonstrate you what we chose to do. We chose not to hate. We chose to believe in the sanctity of life like the Judaism believes. And the video now, please.
This is the sound of one meal. This is the sound of a child's future. This is the sound of life. And this is the sound of our only enemy, time. When disaster strikes, time starts ticking away. And when time runs out, Israeli Flying Aid, IFA, moves in. IFA, a non-profit, volunteer-based, non-governmental organization, was established in 2005 by Gal Lousky, an experienced humanitarian activist. IFA's mission is to deliver life-saving aid to communities worldwide affected by natural disasters and human conflict. IFA focuses on places where local regimes prevent entry from international humanitarian organizations and on countries that lack diplomatic relations with Israel. August 2008, conflict, Georgia and Russia. IFA is dedicated to provide aid and relief to communities in need, transcending political differences, prejudices, race, religion, nationality, and creed. IFA's unique approach is victim-centered, minimizing victim runaround. In non-hostile areas, IFA consolidates life-saving aid in one location, which includes mass feeding centers, search and rescue teams, medical field clinics, and post-trauma therapy for the victims who suffered loss.